when Yom Tov started. So this is the case. I gave an animal to my shepherd who works for me on Yom Tov. Whose limit does this animal have? Whose limit does the shepherd have? I gave it to him on Yom Tov.
You.
Mine, because everything is dependent on where the animal was on Erev Yom Tov, when Yom Tov started. When Yom Tov started. Over here, I had it when Yom Tov started, and I gave it to him only after Yom Tov started. That means that it assumed my limits. But Rabbi Dosa says, no, it's always shepherds. How could we explain this? He always let it shepherd, even if I gave it to him on Yom Tov. Gemara answers, what do you think could be the answer?
I have a couple of answers.
Go ahead. That's good. I love it.
It's in the flock, so it's like bottle in the flock.
Interesting.
The other answer I would think that it's the nature of a shepherd to go with the sheep wherever they need to go.
Maybe the sheep go with the shepherd?
Yeah. It's not like he has all the sheep with him. So like it's just tagging along. He's not specifically taking that sheep. He's taking the flock.
Well, we don't go with, one thing is for sure. We don't consider an animal as a deciding factor. It has to be a human being.
Right.
So therefore, there's only two options: the owner or the shepherd. Pick one of these two options. In our Mishnah, now the cases where I gave my animal to my shepherd on Yom Tov, our Mishnah seems to say
But it says behemah.
an animal, behemah.
No, but the Mishnah says, not forget the Gemara. The Mishnah said behemah
Kiragli baalim.
right.
That's if I gave it on Yom Tov.
On Yom Tov.
But Rabbi Dosa says Kiragle haroeh, like a shepherd, even if I gave it on Yom Tov.
Right. So
Bright says it.
Right.
Right.
So it contradicts the Mishnah.
Contradicts the Mishnah.
Yeah.
So what could be the answer? So Gemara is going to say the following answer: this is your shepherd that you give it to him every single week.
So
In other words, it's not random. It's the shepherd that you anticipate. You knew that you're going to give it to him.
so basically ahead of time. Ahead of.
Oh, so it was already his before you even gave it.
No, there's an agreement before Yom Tov.
You know that you're going to give it to him. You know that animals are going to become his for the Yom Tov.
It's like an agreement before Yom Tov, like on Yom Tov.
It's not so much agreement. It's because you do it every single week that already predetermines your mindset in terms of the animal. There was Mishnah that says that if you gave it to him on Yom Tov, it's like your. That's talking about a random a shepherd that you needed somebody and someone walked in and said, "I'll graze your animals." So then it's like yours. You tell them where the animals could go because the animals have your limits.
People went out to graze on Yom Tov.
Looks like there were shepherds.
But it seems like work. I don't know why. In my mind, it's like it's a job. If you're a shepherd, it's your job.
Yeah, but you have to feed your animals on Shabbat. You have to feed your animals on, right? Like, I mean, if they're hungry, you can't leave them.
Right, you have to feed them. Yeah.
It's the same thing with grazing.
But it's his job because it's responsibility. Sometimes you have to take care of them. Sometimes there's something happens.
It doesn't mean that you're
Sometimes a wolf comes, you have to protect them, right?
Okay.
It's a job, right?
It's a job. So I hear what you're saying.
So you can't graze your animals on Yom Tov?
Apparently, here you can.
What is the shepherd doing? Is he shechting this animal? Is he flocking this animal?
Grazing. He's just watching them. Brings them out and watch them. Mm-hmm. It may be an easy job if nothing happens.
Yeah, if you have like 20 of them. If you have 300 of them, it's not an easy job. Then you really have to be on top of it. Depends on how many sheep you have in the flock. Okay. You're right. So I don't know how to answer that question. I don't know exactly. It seems that they had some people. Now, what if it was a goy? So then you could say still. It's like my reglayim, my limit, because the goy doesn't have a limit. But you have a limit.
But you have a limit. You have a limit, right? So maybe we could say like this: that if it's, let's say, goy that you hire every single Shabbat, every single Yom Tov, so then you know that your animals are going to become his. As soon as Yom Tov starts, he's going to come. He's going to come in the morning. He's going to pick up all your animals and go, and you do it day in, day out. You do it every Shabbat. So then it becomes like his raglayim, which means unlimited. He could go whatever he wants. It's not yours anymore. But if it's someone, what if it's a goy that you did not know? He just happened to come in for a job on Shabbat morning to pick up your animals. Then you have to tell them the animals cannot be more than that.
Rabbi, so the goy can the goy say that he can keep the animal?
Goy?
Since he
What do you mean to ask?
so you're saying he borrows it, right?
No, he just watches it for you.
He just watches it.
He watches it.
So he cannot claim that he can own the.
No, we claim that he doesn't
That it's
own
his,
it, but we're saying that he could take it wherever he
No,
goes.
but then if it's like if it's his, then he can actually do more than the home.
There's no reason to give it to him. Maybe he'll take them and
Basically
disappear.
borrow.
No. You don't give it to him. You don't make it his. No. He works for you. He takes it. He watches it. He brings it back. That's it. Okay, let's go on. So, I feel Rabbi Dosa. You could even say that our Mishnah agrees with Rabbi Dosa. V'lo kasha. It's not a question. Kan beroye echad, kan b'shnei royim. Here we're talking about one roye that you always trust, and you know that he's going to give it to him. A kan b'shnei royim. Here you're talking about any random. They economy diktani live no or roye, because that's to your son or to roye, which to shepherd. It's like just like your son is designated, he knows you. You know him, he's yours, so the same thing roy is yours. Shema mino. Amar Rav Bar Chana. Rav Bar Chana said, Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Haloch ki Rabbi Dosa. Haloch is like Rabbi Dosa. Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Hachiva Amar Rabbi Yochanan, Haloch ki Stam Mishnah. First, Rav Bar Chana said that Haloch is like Rabbi Dosa, but on the other hand, he also said that Haloch ki Stam Mishnah, which means Haloch is like our Mishnah. V'tnana behema v'akelim ki ragle abalim. V'lo kimna kan beroye echad, kan v'shnei roye. So Gemara says, didn't we say that they're not arguing? It's just talking about roy that you always give to. That's why. Okay. Tan Rabbanon. New Gemara. Tan Rabbanon. Rabbis taught. Shnaim shesha'alu chaluk echad b'shutfut. Two people borrowed one robe together. Ze le'elech bo shecharit lebet hamedrash. This one wants to go in the morning to shul. And this one wants to wear it in the evening for the Suda, for Bet HaMishta, for the party.
A robe, Jama.
Costume. They borrow. So let's analyze this. So there is three possible tchumin, limits that this Jama could have. The original owners, the first borrower, second borrower. Now we need the borrowers are two people who are going to borrow it separate. They're going to borrow it together to use it interchangeably. One is going to use it a certain amount of time during the day, and the other one's going to use the other times during the day.
Didn't the Mishnah discuss this conversation? It says a hat or utensil or kli
But over there was
has the legs of the owner.
the problem is that that's all, but over there was
One borrower versus two.
one borrower. This is two. Over here the question is like this: they borrowed it on Erev Yom Tov.
Okay.
They borrowed it on Erev Yom Tov. So the original owner is out.
Okay.
Now it's the new
First
owners.
borrowers.
But the problem is that the new owners is actually two people who have two different tchumin.
So the first one to borrow with Erev Yom Tov, he's the basis point, because the second one is borrowing it on Yom Tov.
No. They both.
No, let me finish.
Oh, okay.
The second guy who's borrowing it from the first, so the first one took it Erev Yom Tov, right? So he has possession, right? As soon as he gives it to the second borrower, it's mid Yom Tov. It's already during Yom Tov.
I see what
Right?
you're saying.
So that means he has the same restrictions
No,
to
no,
whom
no.
as the one who borrowed it.
You're missing the actual words because words say like this: Shnayim, two, shisha'alu, who borrow,
Erev Yom Tov.
haluk echad, one robe, bishutfut. Bishutfut means as partnership.
Okay.
Ze le'elech bo shacharit, v'ze le'elech bo aravit. One's gonna wear it in the morning,
Okay.
and one in the evening. So we're not talking about like you changed the whole shot, you changed the whole case here. One borrowed it on the Yom Tov, then he brought it home, and then the second one's borrowing. No. From the very beginning, when they picked it up from the owner, it was understood that they are both borrowing it, and they're both responsible on it, and they're going to wear it, but they're going to split the time that they are using. It's a different case.
It's the only clarification, right? So they both borrowed it from him in a partnership, Erev Yom Tov.
Right. So it comes out like this, that when Yom Tov comes in, this
Who has possession?
item has a joint
Dual possession.
ownership, dual
Yeah.
possession. Now, we know, logically, dual possession means both tchumin are in place. Tchum of this guy and tchum of this guy. The limits of this guy and the limits of this guy. So, the best would be to see it written down, but how exactly when there's two guys, Gemara is going to say, how exactly if there's two guys, what is now the setup? So let's see, Gemara says like this. Ze irav alav lidaron. This guy made a roof to go to south. And that was like this. We know that if a person stays in this point, he's able to make a roof tchumen. A roof tchumen means he could go back to the limit 2,000 amot, where he could naturally go, live over there, bread of one soda, and then he extends his tchum 2,000 amot more. Because if you left his bread here, 2,000 amot, where he is actually sleeping over here, that means that he's showing that he's not staying here, he's actually staying here. So his radius is not over here, but his radius is over here. You hear the difference?
Yeah.
If his radius is here, then he only has 2,000 amot to the south till this point. But if he's sleeping here and he put bread here, that means that he has 4,000 amot, 2,000 amot till here, and then another 2,000 amot till here. Let's say his destination is 3,000 amot away from where he's sleeping. So he can't go over there. Let's say he's sleeping here. His destination is 3,000 amot. So he goes to the end of 2,000 amot and puts bread there. Now he has extended 2,000 amot from that point. So he's able on Yom Tov to walk 2,000 amot to where his bread is and another 1,000 amot to his destination.
How does bread give him the opportunity to do that?
Because by putting bread there, he says, really, I am staying here where the bread. Person is where his bread is. Person is where his suda is. So he says, I'm sleeping here, but really, my center, my epicenter is here.
So you can't go 2,000
He
more
changed
the
it.
other direction.
He changed the epicenter. Normally, a person is in the middle, in the epicenter, where he's staying. But over here, he said that I am at the edge of my epicenter, and my center is 2,000 amot south.
You can't go 2,000 more north.
That's it. He can't even go one step north anymore.
Right.
If he went all the way to 2,000 and put the bread there, he could only stay there and
He's
not.
at the edge of his
It's at the edge, yeah.
I understand.
So let's say these two guys who borrowed this robe. One of them has to go. They both are staying in this house over here. One of them needs to wear this robe in the evening for a party that's 3,000 amot to the south. So he made a roof over here, 2,000 amot away, and he's going to go to the south. But the other one who wants to go to the shul, it's in the north, 3,000 amot to the north. He made a roof 2,000 amot to the north.
Poor garments. They don't know what to do with it.
So what's the bottom line? The garment, they cannot take if they did that, the garment cannot go even 1 inch to the south because of the guy who's going to the north, and they cannot go even 1 inch to the north because of the guy who's going to the south.
So it
that's
has to
to
stay
combine.
right in the middle.
They have to combine their
So how would he borrow from the other guy?
He would
Let's
go
say-
to the place where he's sleeping.
But he's not supposed to go back.
No, he can go to that place, he said.
In other words, the concept number one is that the garment has the limits of both. And now, since we know this concept, we have to see how exactly to do it, because with the scenario that I described to you is not helping them. The way they made a roof for each other is that now they borrowed it, but they're not going to be able to carry it, so they can't do it.
I just don't understand Eruv like so well. I'm just curious. The Eruv is how many steps or actual distance? Because it's altitude or longitude. How does it work? Because you can walk a lot.
Altitude, you mean up vertically?
Yeah, vertically. Does it count vertically when you go up a mountain? Because really, you could be in 1 mile, but you can walk a lot.
Right, I know that. Yeah,
Right?
makes sense. Yeah.
Or you're in flat ground, you can walk along. How does it work? With
It's
Eruv?
the actual space.
Space. So on a mountain, you could be
You go up Mount Everest.
whatever on a mountain peak.
Yeah.
You could walk 1,000 like.
Because you really usually ascend the mountain in a
Yeah.
circle way,
And
right?
let's say 5,000 amot.
And you could be walking an entire day,
Yeah,
but it's really very short.
yeah,
If you would go straight, it would be 2,000 amot.
yeah,
But this way, it's taking you to 10,000 amot.
yeah. It's
So
still
then,
there.
yeah, so you're allowed to.
Oh, okay.
So question, Rabbi, can they exchange each other's bread and place it in 2 different opposite places? So this way the garment would be in this guy's.
Once Yom Tov starts, mentally they can say, "Oh, usually my bread." No, really, my bread is not there. My bread is there, because we say that you gotta put the bread on Erev Yom Tov, and wherever your bread is, in your mind, on Erev Yom, whatever your bread is on Erev Yom Tov, that locks it in, and you cannot change it until next Yom.
Then it doesn't make sense for the other guy that walked 2,000 amot and placed his bread, changed his mind, and he said, "I'm not sleeping there. I'm gonna have my bread here."
In this case, it doesn't make sense because the other guy needs it to go there, right? But it does make sense in many other places. Like, for example, let's say I have to go somewhere which is 3,000 amot away, or 4,000 amot away maximum. Then it does make sense to me to put it at the edge of my 2,000 amot, because then I'm extending 2,000 amot more.
But you just said you have to put it there prior.
You do it, but you gotta do it Erev Yom Tov. You have to know where you're gonna be. You have to know your plans. You have to know from before Yom Tov.
So
Where
on
you
Yom
need to
Tov
go.
itself, you cannot.
If you change, on Yom Tov, it's not gonna help you. On Yom Tov, let's say that you got a text message. I don't know how you figured out how you saw this text message, but you got a word that there is a party going on, more than 2,000 amot. You can't go there because you're limited. You're limited. Yom Tov is limited, and you can't put the bread anymore. Okay. So Gemara says like this. So if the two guys borrowed like that a garment, one made a roof to the north and the other one made a roof to the south. Ze she'erev letzafon, the one who made a roof to the north could only go as far north as the limit of the one who made a roof to the south. And the one who made the roof to the south could only go as far south as the permissibility of the one who's going to the north. If they, in other words, each one put a roof exactly 2,001 to the north and exactly 2,001 to the south, and the garden.
You take 2 circles, right? You go like this. The space in the middle is where they can move,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
The middle space that touches.
yeah. Let's go overlap.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's it.
that's it. Yes, overlap. Good. So now, so let's just read it inside. V'im matzu et tchum, and if they maximize their tchum, harei zeh, this one, we're on last short line, lo yizizena mimkoma. How do you say move in Hebrew? Zuz. Lazuz means to move. Lo yizizena mimkoma means
From the
You cannot move it from its place.
Itmar.
So next Gemara. Itmar, it was said, Shnayim shalakhu chavit ubehema b'shutfut. Two people bought on Erev Yom Tov a barrel with wine and an animal. Now, they bought. So now this is the interesting case because they bought as partners. Let's say the barrel and an animal, barrel with wine and an animal. Let's say cost $1,000. They gave $500 each. So for all intents and purposes, they are equal partners in both. In the animal that's holding this barrel with wine and in the wine. They own both together, jointly. Rav Amar, Rav says like this, Chavit muteret ubeima asura. The wine is permissible to carry and an animal is prohibited to carry. Ushmuel Amar Chavit nami asura. And Shmuel says even wine is prohibited. Now, what do we mean? Muteret and asura prohibited and move it. This is built on the Gemara before. You remember with the garment before, we said that they could only carry it in the overlap. Mm-hmm. So comes along Rav and says Chavit muteret. The wine is not subject to the overlap. It's not only permissible overlap. The wine you could carry anywhere you want. In other words, since we both of you, let's say Israel and me, we're the ones who bought it. I take the barrel, I give half of it to Israel, I leave the half for myself. Israel could go take the wine wherever he wants, whatever his limit is, and I take it to my limit, even if it's not in the overlap area. We'll have to figure out why. Wine is not subject to this problem. But animal is subject. Animal is a problem. Animal could only go into the overlap area. In other words, it has two tchumin, yours and mine. The wine doesn't have yours and mine. It has, half of it has yours and half of it has mine.
So you think animal would do the same because they bought...
Oh, you may think like this. If the wine,
Yeah.
we could split, I mean, we could do that. Maybe animal, the same thing. But if you think about it, you could see the difference between wine and animal.
Animal stays whole. Wine
you need to hold it, otherwise it's dead.
Yeah. The wine you could split. The animal is one entity.
Is the wine has the same thing like water also? Is it because it's liquid?
Wine, no, wine. Well, wine is an item; it's an entity, and water also. If you have a jug of water, you also subject to the same things. We have when you say water, you mean the case before with
The
bread,
the challah, yeah.
with the challah. No, we're talking about wine that's in its own pure form. You see it; it's not mixed anywhere, and therefore it's just like any other item. If you're asking me, what if I mixed wine into dough? It's not like water because wine has a taste. Water doesn't have a taste. You will feel the taste of wine in the water, in the
Does
in
it
the bread.
matter that it's in a barrel and there's only one barrel? Like you cannot split the barrel?
Cask.
No, you could open it and drain into bottles, into bags. You could split the barrel.
So the wine itself would be permissible to go anywhere itself by itself, but the barrel itself would not be able to.
No, barrel. We could decide who barrel. No, because barrel is batil to the wine. When we say barrel of wine, our
Same.
mind is on the wine, and barrel is only to contain it.
The wine, yeah.
So what we could decide between you and me is who is going to take and drain half into his own barrel, and who's going to take the barrel, going to keep the barrel, the half a barrel.
Back in the day, like you would take an animal, right? If it's a big chag, you can't eat a whole cow, right? Like you would take two families or even a lamb.
Okay.
Two families would split it, and for Rosh Hashanah or for some big chag, they would go 50-50 on an animal because
Good.
it's too big or it's too expensive. So they'd go to the butcher, two families, okay, we're going to split this cow, we're going to split this, animal. Now,
Right.
what's wrong with having that done during Yom Tov? You could chef, right?
You could chef it.
And each one takes
Excellent.
their half.
So if you're planning to chef this animal, yes, but we're not planning. They're not planning to chef the animal.
They just want to take it.
It's
to
a
the
transfer. This
Let's say
animal
it's
is
a
a donkey.
working bull.
Let's say it's a donkey. That's why it doesn't say over here it's a cow.
animal.
Maybe it's a donkey that carries
Or a horse or
barrels of
something.
wine.
Yeah.
They bought horse or donkey
Uh-huh.
with wine. They really with wine. Yeah,
So it's not food, it's more of a
it's just
means of transportation.
That's right. So now this concept, let's say two families, yours family and my family, we bought a cow. Later on, we're going to shecht it, and each one of us is going to take some parts of the meat. Do we say that since when we bought it, it was a live animal, we didn't even know which parts of meat you're going to take and which parts I'm going to take. Only later on, when we actually picked it, there's a certain part of the animal became mine, and a certain part of the animal yours. So how could we say that I could take my part to my limits and you could take your parts to your limits? Because when we bought it, we didn't even know which part is going to become yours. What's the concept? There is a concept in the Torah that allows us for you to carry to your part. What is it called? You remember? It's called yesh breira. Yesh breira means there is a clarification later. In other words, even though at the time when we bought it, no one knew. I didn't decide what I'm going to take. I wanted to first see what I'm going to like. You didn't decide what you're going to take. We bought it as one item. But if on Yom Tov later when we shecht it, when we actually pick our stuff, we say that now that we know which part is yours and which part is mine, we go back in time to Erev Yom Tov and we say the parts that I picked, they got my limits. And the part that you picked later got your limits on Erev Yom Tov, even though everything is dependent on Erev Yom Tov.
Retroactive.
Right? It has to happen on Erev Yom Tov. But we didn't know which parts is yours, which part is mine. But we say since it's going to become clear later, it's for sure going to. It only works if it's going to become clear later. So we could say that whatever's going to so really takes place. We could say like this: that really takes place invisibly on Erev Yom Tov. And it only becomes apparent later. Do you hear what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So Gemara is going to say like this now. We know that Rav says an interesting thing, that the wine, you split it and allowed. And the behema is asura. Shmuel Omer, behem chavid nami asura. Shmuel holds that wine is also asur. So let's figure this out. My kasavar Rav. What does Rav hold? I kasavar yesh breira. If Rav holds yesh breira, afilu behema tishtri. If Rav says there is a breira, even the animal should be able to split. Vei kasavar ein breira, and if he holds ein breira, afilu chavit nami asura. If he holds no breira, then even wine should be asur, because wine was also one thing. Only later we drained half of it, and it became clear what yours was mine. Gemara says, "La'alam kasavar yesh breira." Really holds the yesh breira. V'shani behema de kayan kitchumi me'adodi. Look what Gemara is saying. That when it comes to animal, even if it's an animal that I am going to shecht, it's still a problem because the blood circulates from one area to another all the time, and you could have one part of your animal in my parts and part of my animal in your parts because of that. Yeah. Because
The blood isn't bitul. Isn't the blood like bitul because we kind of spill it? We don't really apply it as a meat.
but blood is because blood is something that gives life. Blood is something that gives nourishment and sustenance and life and oxygen. So we say that it's not batel. It's not batel. So therefore,
You can't apply this concept.
so you can apply yesh breira because yanke evorim me'adot, because that each part is interconnected. Each part is interconnected through blood, through nourishment. Nourishment only takes place as a unit, as a whole.
So we're passing like Shmuel.
So we're asking that we're asking like Rav still that because the kasha was if he holds a breira, then even not only wine should be mutar, but also an animal. And if he doesn't hold of it, then not only animals should be asur, but even the wine should be asur.
Okay.
We say really he holds of breira. But even if you say breira, and at some point you know which parts you're taking, which parts I'm taking, but because the parts are still interconnected through blood, so you have some of yours in mine, and some of mine in yours. So animal is out of question. So Gemara says.
What about wine?
No, Gemara goes to that's about muktzah. Gemara says this. Okay, it says this. Amri lei Rav Kahana v'Rav Asi l'Rav. Rav Kahana and Rav Asi now address Rav. Rav who said that one is permissible to carry, v'hem is not. Li'isur muktzah lo chashashu, li'isur tchumin chashashu. You are not concerned about muktzah, but you're concerned about tchumin? What does that mean?
Muktzah is more strict.
Where's muktzah comes in here? Because when we buy an animal,
Oh, there's not kosher parts.
no, we're talking about kosher animal.
No, but the bottom half or whatever the certain part.
No, more than that, better than that.
Why
Let's say we buy an animal together. Half of it belongs to you. You're going to take half. I'm going to take half. I am removing your half from my usage. To me, your half is like muktzah,
Right.
and to you, my half is muktzah.
Uh-huh.
So if in this animal, half of it is muktzah for you and another half
So what?
yours,
you can't check it.
muktzah for me, and blood goes back and forth, that means there's some muktzah in my part and some muktzah in your part. The same idea that we have in terms of tchumen, it could also make it muktzah, problem with muktzah. So Gemara says, you're saying that tchumen is only to carry it further, but muktzah is to use it here. Even, let's say I don't want to carry it anywhere. Am I even allowed to move it and to shecht it and to eat it? It may be muktzah. Some of your blood could be in my parts, and it's a muktzah, and vice versa. So if you're saying that muktzah is not a problem, which is mochamur, muktzah is mochamur than tchumen. So why? So why are you talking about tchumen? Talk about muktzah. As prohibited because of muktzah. So Gemara says shatik. He didn't answer. He was quiet. He didn't answer. Now shatik means that he had an answer, but he didn't want to say. What could be the answer why muktzah is not a problem? So I don't know. Let's see a little. There's no Rashi. Let's see further. Gemara says, "My have Allah." What's the halacha? Rabbi Yoishe Omar yesh breira. There is breira. But Rabbi Yochanan Omar in breira. But so Rabbi Yoishe yesh breira, but none. Okay, that's a little bit further down. So what does it mean that he didn't answer? He had an answer, but he didn't say.
What's Brera? Brera is splitting.
Later I explained that even though earlier you didn't know which one is going to be yours, but since later you're going to know,
Designation.
going retroactively, going backwards in time.
Retroactive designation.
So we're going to stop here. Gemara says that even though muktzah is a good question, and even though he didn't answer it, but we don't say that muktzah is a problem
In this situation.
in this situation.
The animal.
Animal. Muktzah meaning that
The blood.
your part is muktzah to me, my part is muktzah to you.
But we
Maybe-
learned we learned another part in Baytza, similar concept, I think.
Similarly, yeah.
I remember going over something like that.
Or there's a concept that something which is not muktzah to another Jew
It's not muktzah to me.
is not muktzah to me either. That's probably the answer.
Also, why? Muktzah is the Rabbanan, right? So is this Brera concept. So why is Muktzah more stringent than Brera? Because the Gemara, one of the rabbis said, mention Muktzah. Why are you mentioning Brera?
Right.
They're both Rabbanan.
It's mashma that mashma the Gemara that muktzah is more chamur, but
As opposed to,
muktzah is the rabban. Tchumin could be daraita.
well, most of the Rabbanan.
But muktzah is considered muktzah. Muktzah is always like it's treated like midaraita. It's treated very chamur. We treat muktzah very stringently. So they're asking, look, why aren't you But maybe you could say that since Muktzah is the Rabban, it's not a problem. Chumin is more a problem. There could be many answers. We already came up. Mark is saying an answer. I'm saying an answer. But in the Gemara, he didn't. See, this teaches us that sometimes you have what to say. Not necessarily you have to say. You could just be right, but you don't have to make sure that the other guy knows that you were right. You could be right quietly. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Rabbi, thank you.